welcome to Spring Convocation and the start of the Chinese New Year, also known as the Lunar New Year. This is a good day in that respect to hold Spring Convocation because of all that the first of the year evokes, and it's especially appropriate because we're witnessing the start of a new era in the history of California and of the CSU. We have our new governor, Governor Newsom, and 10 days in, his first proposed budget included the largest allotment to the CSU in the history of the university. $300 million in ongoing funding and $247 million in one-time funding for deferred maintenance and things of that sort. So that proposal, which we all really look closely at, because in fact, there's not a lot of variance usually from the governor's proposal in January and what lands as the budget in July. So we look really closely at that. But that proposal signals that Governor Newsom understands the value of the CSU to our state and that we're off to a strong start. And you, the faculty and staff, have helped usher in this new era by doing the work of educating, transforming, supporting the lives of our students, by serving as our best advocates in Sacramento and in Washington. For years now, we've been telling the story of what happens on our campus every day, the innovations that are born, the futures that are created, the solutions that are discovered. We've told the story of our relationship with our communities, the programs and the initiatives we've created that allow greater numbers of people to benefit from the university and greater numbers of people from outside the university to benefit from the resources of Cal State LA. There's a lot going on, from STEM programs for high school students to our bioscience initiatives for entrepreneurs, to an innovative film course in which our students are paired with nonprofits and create documentaries about the nonprofit work. We're fulfilling the central tenet of engagement and service for the public good. So ours is, as you know, because you're making it happen, ours is a story of success for our students, a story of success for our communities. We've been good stewards of the resources we've received, and we've earned the confidence that the governor has shown us through his historic budget proposal. There is much to celebrate then in the governor's proposed budget and the impact it'll have on the university, but there is a critical area that requires our attention and our advocacy. The governor's budget includes a 2% increase in enrollment growth funding. Now, this is a step forward from the lack of enrollment growth funding that we've seen in past budgets, in fact, in years of past budgets. The CSU, however, is requesting a 5% increase, or a little over $206 million in enrollment growth funding. Enrollment growth funding means the students provide tuition, and the state provides funding, and they're pretty much equal. State provides funding for the enrolled students to promote the growth and access and admission of those students. We haven't been seeing a lot of that lately. Chancellor White and the Board of Trustees, with this proposal for 5%, the request from the trustees for a 5% increase, recognize that, as we especially know here, the demand for a CSU education is increasing dramatically. As more students graduate from high school, having completed the CSU minimum requirements, there's a 22% increase in the students who are graduating from LAUSD, having completed CSU requirements over the last 2 years. More and more of those students, as we might expect and as we welcome, are seeking admission, and more funding is needed to accommodate them. So we must continue to make the case to our state legislators and the governor that we need funding for the additional students that we are now educating. In this area, the area of having lots of additional students that we're now educating without funding, Cal State LA stands out among the campuses of the CSU. Even if the state legislature approves and the governor signs a budget that includes a 5% increase in enrollment growth funding, and then does that next year and the next year and the next year and the next year, it will still not be enough to meet the need at Cal State LA. In recent years, we have seen an unprecedented surge in enrollment because of increased demand and because our national recognition and prestige have increased. As Vina reminded you, and as I always remind you, even in line at El Pollo Loco, we are still #1 in the nation for the upward mobility of our students. And that word is out. That word, along with all it entails, is out. We serve nearly 23,000 full-time equivalent students, which if you convert that to head count and mix in part-time and full-time, it's about 28,000 students. But our enrollment funding supports only 18,000 full-time equivalent students. So looking at it another way, the enrollment at Cal State LA has increased by 25% since 2012. Enrollment funding has only increased by a little over 2% since 2012. And we kept at this because you, wanted to provide as much access as possible and advocacy to get that enrollment funding to catch up with us. But at this point, our student population includes almost 5,000 unfunded students. That is, we are underfunded by $30 million. This is partly because of the magnitude of applications that we received, a magnitude that was unexpected, not predicted, not projected, but huge, an increase in 20,000 applications over 2 years. It's partly because the annual state funding increases were limited for any number of reasons, and because we focused our budget advocacy over the last few years on the improvement of faculty and staff salaries, on hiring needs that support our ambitious Graduation 2025 initiative, and on important and daunting facilities and infrastructure needs. Don't forget, we still have 9 buildings on this campus that were born in the 60s and are showing it. So throughout these years of growth, our faculty and staff have done whatever it takes to provide superior educational experience that's made Cal State LA a first choice for thousands of first-time freshmen and transfer students. We have reached the point at which we are a destination campus. We're not a default campus, we're a destination. Right? So, and that's because of all that you've done to develop that distinction and to follow it through. And you deserve many, many thanks for your hard work and your dedication and commitment to our students. Over that period, we've expanded class offerings, used classroom space more efficiently, added advisors and counselors, increased parking capacity by adding shuttle service, an off-site parking lot, valet service, and we're building a new parking structure with over 2,000 new spaces right now. We're also constructing a new dormitory with 1,500 beds, and we've expanded our food options over the campus with food trucks, with food carts, and with the addition at the library, you really have to go over there if you haven't yet, of every table, which is a wonderful addition to the campus. The list goes on. There's a lot to mention, there's a lot to point at, but the imbalance between our enrollment funding and our actual student population is now becoming unsustainable. We have reached a critical point, and we must acknowledge and confront an untenable model and create a new one. We have to do things differently for the sake of our current students, for the sake of our future students and for our faculty and staff. On that note, one of my highest priorities has been increasing the tenure track faculty. Over the last 5 years, we've hired 179 tenure track faculty. And that has helped what is known as tenure density. Tenure density is the ratio of full-time faculty to part-time faculty. However, based on a report issued by the CSU last year, our tenure density still remains among the lowest in the system. We have to improve that number. And that's part of what's in view with respect to the changes that we proposed. We're aiming to design procedures that will decrease our enrollment and reduce the number of our unfunded students. We'll accomplish this by controlling our freshman class size and do so by applying major specific criteria that are determined in close consultation with the faculty to all majors at the freshman and transfer level. And we'll continue to advocate, of course, for more funding to educate more students. These kinds of changes are not a retraction from our historical mission and our role in the community. We're absolutely not ending the EOP program, so you can defy that rumor, which seems to percolate every now and then. We remain committed to our community, to the ideals that have guided this university, and the ideals that have made it an invaluable asset to the city, to our region, and beyond. Together, then, we aim to move forward toward the goal of creating a strong, sustainable model for the university, one that serves our students, our community, and the university well, continue to push our students to success in the best tradition of this university, and to recognize that Cal State LA is strong because we stand together working in the best interest of our students. This is what defines us. This is who we are. And with that, I want to thank you once again for being here. I'm glad that the sun's come out. There must be an omen of some sort, I think. And I'll stop and take any questions that you want to ask. But thank you very much. Welcome to the spring.